Bear down, Breeze Nation. I am going to give you 3 key takeaways from the Bills blowout over our beloved Chicago Bears, and it starts right now. Now, if you are new to the channel, please like the video. Please subscribe to the page because we do talk Chicago sports weekly. We don't want you to miss a thing, so make sure that you hit that bell. This is the only Chicago sports show that's talking Chicago sports, how Chicago talks. So get in tune with us. So, a little late on this video. Normally, I would have dropped this on the Sunday or the day immediately after the game, but I had to go back and really look at the game again and see, you know, what kind of I could take away from what we saw. I think that the biggest thing for me, especially the number one thing that really stood out, my first key takeaway from the game, because the Bears, I mean, listen, there's not much you can take away from just going out and getting blown out by Mitchell Trubisky. Like, it was a demoralizing loss for the Bears. I understand it's preseason, but at least for Bears fans, it was a demoralizing loss. I think for that Bears defense as well, it was a demoralizing loss, and that's kind of where I'm starting. You know, key number one for me, key takeaway number one for me, the fact that you're still not getting that defensive pressure, and I understand that we can say, listen, you know, they're going quicker, they're double teaming. At a certain point, I have to ask, what isn't an excuse? And not to say that those things aren't valid points, that yes, that Mitchell Trubisky absolutely was slinging the ball quickly, he was going to his first read, but now you're saying they're attacking the weakness of the Chicago Bears, because it's like, okay, let's go after the DBs that we think is a struggling unit, a unit that's not all the way there yet. We know that, you know, let's not go at Jalen Johnson, let's go to Kendall Vildor, let's go at, you know what I'm saying, like, we're going to attack the DBs and we're going to take the defensive line out of it. Now granted, the Bears not going to war with Eddie Goldman in there, you know, that makes a big difference. A lot of the things that we saw on the line, it makes a big difference because there were key pieces not in there. But it is concerning to me to not see our defensive line in the backfield, because when this thing gets rolling for real, if we don't have that defensive line consistently in the backfield, we're going to have DBs that are going to struggle. You're leaving Eddie Jackson and that safety unit out on an island almost, because we know what kind of, he's a ball hawk. He's a ball hawk. He's not going to be the best tackler in the league. He's not going to be the guy that's going to blow you up or blow a play up. Now, can he make a great play in that situation? Yeah, he's a top safety in the NFL, but he's a ball hawk. His job is to snatch those balls out of the air, take it back as far as he can. That's what we've seen him be talented for. That's the reason that he got paid. But all of that kind of starts up front on that defensive line, and it's concerning to me that in that game, I mean, we saw them kind of get to Mitch a couple of times, but I'll be honest with you, even with that, the thing that was most concerning in that situation, the open field tackling was just so bad in those moments that you weren't even able to get the quarterback down. Mitch really able to extend plays with his legs. I mean, listen, he had the game of his life coming back to Chicago, right? Like he had one of the best games we've ever seen Mitch Trubisky have in Soldier Field, but he was playing for the Buffalo Bills. So, but yeah, I'm really concerned about what we're seeing on that defensive line now. And the fact that we're still not getting pressure in that backfield, and the fact that all they had to do was pretty much, now granted, listen, the defensive coverages, I'm assuming, are still pretty vanilla at this point in preseason. The preseason hot takes are always hilarious because it's just like, we're going to be failing at that point. But to me, you can still have those concerns, and I do have the concern because we're seeing a lot from the defensive line in preseason of what we saw last season. But like I was saying, you know, like I was about to say, a lot of vanilla coverages, a lot of vanilla defenses going out there. You're really just trying to get your guys some run. Now with only 3 preseason games, that's probably the most run we'll see from the number ones. And so really, I think that's the part that it is. You know that's going to be the most run you're going to see from your number ones to week 1. And it was a disappointing run. I mean, your defense got torched continuously. And so to me, you have to be able to get that pressure in there to make the rest of the defense better. And we haven't seen that consistently throughout this preseason so far. Hopefully we can see it a little bit more. I do think there's some defensive pieces that I'm really excited about seeing going into the season, some undercover pieces again. But again, you know, when hopefully we'll be at full strength, you could tell that without Roquan in there, that without Trevathan, and without Ogletree, without, you know, a lot of those big names, Goldman, that there's a lot missing on that defense. So there was some, of course, there were some key pieces there that weren't there, but I'd still like to see, I mean, Mack was out there, Hicks was out there, Quinn was out there. I'd still like to see my big name guys getting into the backfield a little bit more. Now, before I continue with the video, I want to know you guys' opinion. Let me know in the comments below. What were your takeaways from the blowout versus the Bills? I'll be down there talking with you in the comments as well. So really want to know how you guys feel, man. My second key takeaway here. Andy Dalton, to me, has done absolutely zero to say that he should be the starting quarterback, to say that he has taken his job by the horns, to say that he's the reason that the Chicago Bears will be successful this season. But in that Bills game, I also cannot say that Justin Fields listen, we can change the narrative, we can switch it around and say that he wasn't playing with the best talent on the field, which is absolutely true, and that's a conversation that we'll get into as well. But he just looked okay. He just looked like, you know, like I'm not gonna get overly one way, because, you know, I kept seeing on Twitter, which, you know, like kids said, if that's where you're going for your opinions, then you should have stayed home. But I kept seeing on Twitter, you know, I understand that we lost and Fields didn't look as good as he did before, but, you know, he still looks better than Dalton, and honestly, like, I think things did look smoother with Justin out there. I think that Justin's ability to extend plays with his legs made things look a lot better, but I mean, he wasn't able to really take the bull by the horns in that situation. I thought that was the game that he was going to be able to. I thought, if anything, listen, it doesn't matter if it's with the 2s and 3s or not. If he comes out versus Buffalo and he dominates because of what we saw from Andy in that first half, then he is going to literally go into every week with the argument of, listen, you already know I should be the starting quarterback at this point. We're just fighting the inevitable. But he didn't really have that game for me. You know, he played nice. He had some nice throws. He had some rookie mistakes, which he's absolutely going to have. And to me, that was the moment where he could have taken the bull by the horns versus the 2s and 3s. And I mean, we're talking about, he didn't get into what, third quarter. So we're talking about probably more 3s than 2s at that point. But to me, you know, we really didn't see that take the bull by the horns, take that job out of Andy Dalton's hands moment. And I think that really stood out to me in this game, because I really thought that it was coming. I mean, Andy played, I don't care what you say. Like, there's a lot of moments where, yes, players didn't help Andy. I think on the interception, one of his receivers falls down. That might have been Adams as well, which, dog, he needs to make the team. Absolutely. That's not a takeaway, but he absolutely needs to make the team. But you see Adams kind of fall down on that one, I believe, and you know, it ends up getting picked up. That's not on Andy. There's a lot of times where protection wasn't holding up, or guys just couldn't get free off of their man, which is a big problem that the Bears are going to have this season. It would seem that he just didn't have a ton of help at the receiver position, but there were absolutely moments where the play was there and Andy Dalton didn't make it. And to me, it was really just it was a subpar game from all fronts on the Bears. You know what I'm saying? And so the screaming for we should put Justin in at that point, he didn't show us anything that said he has to be that guy. Now, he had the one great throw to Jesse James, great throw. He had a couple of, you know, good run plays with his legs that he was able to extend plays. Those things do matter. And I'm gonna be honest with you, as far as an offensive line goes, listen, we saw it last season with Mitch. If you are able to have that ability to use your legs, that offensive line makes a big difference, because now, it just looks better. They're not sitting there trying to hold off as long, especially on a struggling line like we have right now, where Juan Castillo, I got to give Juan Castillo some credit too, throwing in some extra, doing a lot of scheming to try and get these quarterbacks as much protection as possible. And early on, at least in preseason, like not a lot of vanilla defenses that we're seeing here, but at least early on in preseason, some stuff that seems like it's working to give them a couple of extra seconds to assess the field. But the ability that Justin has to move his legs, that absolutely is going to make the team better. It's going to make the offense look better. But I didn't see anything crazy that I'm like, yeah, he absolutely won this job over from Andy Dalton. Now, if anything, we can say that Andy Dalton hurt his credibility with the way that he played, with the throws that he was making, even the deep throws that he was making. I mean, that catch by Rodney Adams, it was just underthrown by Andy Dalton, and it's an amazing catch by Adams, which is why Adams should absolutely be on the team. But if anything, Andy hurt his credibility as a starter with the time he had in there, more so than Justin did to help his credibility on why he should be the starter. So I was a little shocked by that. I was a little surprised by that. But again, I feel like we have to see Justin Fields, what he can do with a real opportunity, and we really haven't seen him get that real opportunity yet. And that leads into key number three. Key takeaway number three for me is Matt Nagy has a real opportunity to lose this team early this year. He has a legitimate opportunity to lose this team early, and I don't know if you guys saw the Mitchell Schwartz tweet, but he basically was saying that you had all training camp, you had all preseason to evaluate who the best quarterback is, and Matt Nagy kind of came out and said that, we have to see Andy versus real competition versus regular season competition before we make our decision, before we get done evaluating. And it's like, here's my problem. I don't mind if Andy Dalton's the starter. I really don't. I would rather see Justin Fields out there because I want him. I think that he's good enough that he could learn on the fly. But I have no problem if Andy Dalton's out there, if Andy Dalton wins the job. Andy Dalton has done nothing to win this job. Andy Dalton, to me, has done zero to win this job. Now, if we're talking about what we saw in training camp, like to me, you've never made this a competition. You've made this, it's Andy's job. We're promising guys jobs. This is Andy's job. It's going to be his job. That's it. That's the end of it. No ifs, ands, or buts. And I have a problem with that because, to me, you're now telling guys that it doesn't matter what you do in practice. It doesn't matter what you do in in-game competition. We are going to stick with our game plan no matter what. And that's a dangerous message to send to a bunch of guys who are coming out there, some guys trying to consistently make a team, some guys who are coming out there busting their butts to work hard, to learn your system, to learn your scheme, to go out and try and make a play and show you that they deserve to be on the team. But if you send the message that it doesn't matter, that is a quick way to lose your team, because the players are going to know who the best player is. The players on offense are going to know who the best option is offensively at the quarterback position. But I think that sends a message. What Matt Nagy's doing right now with the quarterback position sends a message to every single position in there. It tells the team right now that it doesn't matter what you're doing, we're going to stick with our game plan. It doesn't matter if you come out and you absolutely outplay the person standing next to you. You're not going to get that opportunity because this is our game plan. And to me, that is the most dangerous message to send. That is I'll be real with you. I think that Matt Nagy, because we're seeing Justin Fields young, he will have his job unless he loses that locker room. There's not much that I think will get Matt Nagy fired short of a 1-16 season, unless he loses that locker room. Because through all of this, Matt has actually done a pretty good job of keeping the players on his side, keeping the players engaged. I'm talking about through some bad, through some good, through some ups, through some downs. Like, he's done a good job of keeping this team together. It's actually what he's done best as a head coach, probably, because they've been through so much adversity. But if you go into a season and you're telling players that the most important thing is the game plan, not what you do, you're telling players that we're not willing to have a competition for the quarterback job, even though we just drafted this rookie, and we're not even going to give this rookie an opportunity to prove that he's better because we don't want him to look better. So we're not going to let him play at all with the number one. Like, listen, Justin looked okay with the 2s and 3s. Like, he didn't look crazy. I think he went 9 for 19 for like 90 yards. Got sacked a couple of times. No touchdowns. Just used his legs pretty much to stay alive. But he's not getting an opportunity to do that with the ones. What does that look like with the number ones? Trey Lance has had that opportunity. Trevor Lawrence has had that opportunity. Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, like name the guy. They've gotten the opportunity to at least run with the ones and see what it looks like, to at least run with the ones and have that opportunity. You're not giving Justin Fields that opportunity of saying, we don't want you to look good because we don't want to have the conversation that Andy Dalton should not be the starter. We don't want to have the conversation that Andy Dalton shouldn't be out there. Now listen, and I know people are going to say, but Pat, you dropped the video talking about Andy Dalton should get all the number one reps. I did, because there's no competition here. That's what a lot of people didn't get to in the video, because they wanted to get to a point where they're like, oh, well, listen, he said that Andy Dalton should get the number one reps. He should get the number one reps if you're going to tell him there's zero competition. But the danger here that Matt Nagy has put in place is that no matter what Justin Fields does, he can't win this job. The fact that you're taking competition out of one of the most competitive points of the season in training camp, when guys are literally fighting for their livelihood. And I'm going to be honest with you, moves like that are how you begin to lose a team. And the Chicago Bears are in a real dangerous place right now with how Matt Nagy is assessing talent and how he's going forward with it. But I want to know how you guys feel, man. Let me know in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you as well. As always, it is your boy, Pat the Designer, back at it again. What are your takeaways from the Chicago Bears versus Buffalo Bills game? I'll be down there talking with you as well. Hey, yo, Chicago. We got some long days ahead, man, but y'all stay safe out there, all right? Bird on. Peace.